Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'm gonna act like a clit and disappear for a while because I know nobody will find me. Guys, masturbation is great. Hey, I'm not even going to. I'm no longer a virgin without using those words because I also find it
moist, wetter,
by default, you wet.
It's so tricky. Like,
yeah.
Especially, that's why I don't think I'm a one-night stand kind of girl.
Yep.
Even with penetrative sex, I think I had a conversation.
The penetration happened for the first time, and there was like in my head. I was like, oh,
me orgasm.
Okay.
Me orgasm. So all
heavy on that. The only thing I would probably tell my younger self is, wait until you're 24, girl. Don't talk about this. See about
not you sizing your.
Okay, so growing up, right? Hi everyone, welcome to the very first episode of the Zaza and Sisa show. My name is Sisa.
And I'm Zaza.
So, I think we're gonna come in hot, like an STD. And that is relevant to the topic that we have. Our topic is sex. And we are going to be breaking it down and
to the simplest form.
Mm-hmm. And make it relatable as best as we can. So, what is sex
to me?
Yeah, what is sex to you?
Well, it depends. Like, it depends on, are we talking penetration sex or are we just talking sex in general? Like,
I think if we started, like from la uga to kula kon, you start with virginity, I guess.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, when it comes to the education of sex and when you start having sex,
there was no education. The only thing from my personal experience, all I had was, if you lose your virginity, that is it. That is, virginity was put up there. Like you couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
Nothing sexual until you were married or something like that. So for me, virginity was
not married.
Girl, virginity was such a topic of discussion, like even in school, like because I went to a Catholic school, so that was pretty much all they spoke about. All we could do, all we could entertain was do not engage in any sexual relations.
Growing up in a very religious background, so Catholic Sekaya. So if anybody knows, you know how that goes. Yeah. So it's the 7 B's. That's books before boys, because boys bring babies. So it was education, we're on 20, and then abstaining from sex.
Yes.
And some people especially in a heterosexual setting, and you're not even told like from step 1 to like how sex is initiated, and they don't tell us about the pleasures of sex as well. It's just, it was always a taboo.
If you talked about pleasures in terms of masturbation or any kind of pleasures,
what is masturbation?
You would be told, throughout everything. You can't talk about masturbation or any sort of sexual intercourse.
Yeah, I think my virginity was a personal choice.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a lot of sex education in schooling, obviously.
It was only
but wanting to research and knowing, because now most of the stage in okay, no, something is changing here. But obviously you want to grow with those changes in a positive way.
Yes.
And all of those things. So I did educate myself outside of school.
And how was that? What do you mean when you say educate? What do you mean?
I mean like reading knowledge.
I
did not do any of those other things.
Did you watch porn?
I didn't watch porn. I watched porn very late. But with the way that I was raised, now if you want to explore, but at the same time you also want to educate so that you make the right decisions.
That's true.
So for me, it was reading a lot. It was mostly just reading. There weren't any videos, and phone, so you can't just like
Okay, so when you read, what was that all about?
Okay, well, we did biology at school, lady. So the birds and the bees started in biology class, and then outside, I realized that there were these sexy books. So the sexy books started teaching me about the things that I didn't know. And there's a particular part of my body that's feeling hot.
Yes.
And I'm like, hi,
like
bo.
Erotica book.
Why am I feeling hot? But like intuitively, like your hands want to go in certain places, but then it goes back to the fear that was instilled when it comes to exploring. So it was just like, okay, I feel a certain way, but I'm too scared to act on it. So I'm just gonna push that feeling down and just like continue reading.
I think that's the same for me, because even when we talked about the virginity part, like even when I started being sexual, it was still so taboo. Like I didn't want to do anything penetrative because I was so scared.
I know we are
of what's going to happen or what people would say. And then eventually I started doing oral sex.
Okay. Yes. And how was that?
That was very intimidating, but also just fun, because the partner that I had at the time, he was able to initiate the oral sex, and I thought, well, I have to, give it to him as well.
Sorry, I just want to cut you off. There's also another thing. It's just like there's a certain expectation. If you get to a certain age, it's kind of expected for umuntu to perform these. There's no level of consent. It's just like, okay,
I'm here now.
We've gone on our date. We've chatted, so let the bodies do what the bodies do. Like, there's no question behind, are you comfortable with me, like, unbuttoning my pants? Are you comfortable with me going further? So,
and that's so tricky. Like, especially, that's why I don't think I'm a one-night stand kind of girl. You know what I mean? Because how do you move from, we just had a date or whatever, and then getting into the business, all of a sudden,
let's start there. But like... And like we're dropping trial, and then there's all hygiene and all of that comes into factor. So yes, I did cut you off. So oral, yes.
Anyway, the process, I started off with oral sex. Obviously, this is now heterosexual partners. And it was really fun. It was really good. I did not swallow. I am not a swallower. Just saying.
Okay.
Putting it out there.
Disclaimer: There's protein, but we learned that later in life. But yes, to each their own, of course, obviously.
So it was really fun to do that, and that was my first oral sex experience.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But then that also means that the virginity, I guess, is still intact.
It's still intact.
So there's no like form of penetration. So how do you actually define virginity? I guess because it's you lose your virginity when you have penetrative sex. But for some people, in high school, we used to call it lipirginity, when you have your first kiss. So, there's levels to it, I guess.
I think it's like to a person, because penetrative sex is what the context of socially, that's what we have to conform to. But what about like the kissing, as you said? What about the touching? What about the fingering? What about all the other things that are possible? Yes, you can't necessarily lose your virginity in that sense, but penetrative was the only means of losing your virginity, you know what I'm saying?
True.
So, and for me, sex was very taboo, even because it was a scary avenue to go with. So,
Okay, so let me tell you about how my mom found out that I was no longer a virgin. let me take a sip. Savor the flavor of
the mimosa,
of the mystery concoction that's in my cup. So my mom was away, right?
Yeah.
And my boyfriend at the time, we had been having sex for a while. Okay. So langa patyaza khona was to invite him over to our place. So ngoke sisubuke phela ke intombi nje elala nomfana kubo ichilo nje elinzima kabe. But anyway, like we were young, the blood got hot, and and it was over a weekend. So
and you didn't think she would like come back?
No, we got the shit very good. We are go to Kaya. She'll come back on Sunday and usually very good abuye like ntambama or whatever.
Okay,
so we had from like Friday evening to like Sunday during the And so yeah, it was over the weekend and we did the things that needed to be done. The pots were made. So the way that I got caught was we didn't dispose of the protection units properly. I'm telling you. So she knew about him. Like she knew we were dating. So it's not like he was a secret, but the only secret was the sex part in the entire thing. So Abuyuma, Anpeki Kwamazake, you know, I'm just like welcoming you home, whatever. So I was taking a nap and then I was in bed. And then she wakes me up, Nosisa. Immediately my heart drops and I'm like, I think I know what's going to happen, but let me see how far I can pretend. No, there was no pretending. She's like, I just saw the evidence in the bin. What happened?
Oh. What happened? Girl, you know what happened.
And she's like, were you having sex in this house? And I was like, yes, Mom. Ooh. And she's like, oh my gosh. Lapo, she didn't even know I was no longer a virgin.
Yeah.
So she was like, okay. Firstly, she was disappointed, but I'm actually so glad how she reacted, considering she's Roman Catholic, you know, like the strictest of religions. But I was so proud of the way that she handled it, because yes, as much as she was disappointed, she was just like, okay, is this the first guy that you had sex with? And I said no. And she was like, no, Sisa, who was the first guy? And I told her who the first guy was. So and she's like, no, we need to get his number. So now I'm stressed.
Oh, no.
Because
this is your ex. How do you even go to your ex?
You know, and tell him, I was a virgin at the time we first had sex. So now I have to go back to this guy and tell him, look, my mom just found out that I was having sex with my current boyfriend, and she's also privy to the knowledge you were the first guy I had sex with. So and he was so chill, shame. I was very blessed in that department. So he was very chilled. What's okay, no, that's fine. So I gave his number to Uma, and they sorted out the payment issue. But during the whole process, I was just like, Ma, just hit me.
Yeah.
Like, I'd prefer because this is excruciating, having to go through all of this. And then, she also wanted to talk to my boyfriend at the time and just be like, you guys, I understand that you are having sex, but not in my house. Like, if I was really serious, like properly traditional, when I'm fan, you would have broken up, and now Nosisa but you would have also learned a lesson. But like, no more in my house. And then, afterwards, we finally had the birds and the bees talk. I was 24. I was 24 having the talk with my mom, finally, because she found out that I was having sex. But
also cycling back. Let's cycle back.
Yes.
How was your first time?
My first time with the guy who obviously had to cook oh my gosh. Girl.
Like, was it an invite? Obviously, you were dating this guy.
We were dating for, like, I think,
let me not say
3 or 4 months.
It could be casual sex.
No. We were, like, in a proper relationship. And he was, like, my first serious boyfriend, actually. So, just to circle back from circling back, I was a late bloomer. So I had my first kiss at 19.
Nothing wrong with the late bloomer.
True, but like Angeti, with our peers, everyone is talking about how the first time was, your experiences, and I'm just sitting there like a wallflower, and I'm like, oh guys, okay.
Don't know anything.
And I'm also faking my own things. I'm just like, it's 10. Like,
you don't know anything.
I don't know what else going on. But so my first time was I wouldn't say great, obviously, in comparison to what I know now, but it was comfortable.
Okay.
Yes, it was very comfortable.
Where was it?
In the back of his car.
Not in the back of his car. Did he? Okay. What was the process?
Okay, so we were dating, right?
Yeah.
And I was very lucky in the sense like he was basically following my lead.
Okay.
As much as must follow the guy and no, he was very chill, laid back. And then I was 23 and 2 weeks, and I specified the 2 weeks because my birthday was in 2 weeks. I was going to turn 24, and in my head, when I started dating him, I was like, I think I'm ready to have sex with him, but I want to be 24. Like in my brain was like an even number, like 24. Like I like even numbers, so 24 would make sense.
I get that.
But I was 23 years old in 2 weeks, and I was just like, no, I think I'm ready, you know. So after work, he picked me up, and we were chilling outside as lovers do in the afternoon/evening. And when there was nothing left to talk about, you know, you start making out, and things get nice and warm. And then obviously there was pushback from him, and he was like, wait, like, should we take a breather? And I was like, no, please can we let's do this, you know. And okay, let's pay my condom, because I was like no, I from the very beginning I was like, I don't want things to only be dependable on the man. Like if he can carry the responsibility, then so can I, you know. I don't want to find myself in a situation where there's pressure to do something or normal when you're in the moment because something isn't there, right? So I was just like, no, I've also got, if you've got whichever, like take from whichever's bags, you know. And he was very gentle, and he was like going through the motions. Are you comfortable with this? Do you want me to carry on?
Cool, yeah.
And then you're obviously the penetration happened for the first time, and there was like a in my head, and I was like, oh,
this is what it's all about.
Okay. Yeah. And I like the fact that he was gentle with me because my body also got time to respond.
Yes.
So he didn't go in dry. There was no Sahara desert. It was just like, oh, okay. So this is what sex is like.
It was
girl, I told my friend, I was just like, listen,
you were ready.
I could not wait to like tell people, because now finally I'm in a point where I can also be part of the conversation for real without being nodding and being like, saying, oh yeah, okay, and giving vague responses. Like I have my own personal experience. After then,
oh my gosh, everywhere and anywhere.
I was just like, we're going out, we're doing this, we're doing that. Yeah, I became a sex connoisseur. Yes, but yeah, my virginity. There was also something that irritates me about the phrase for losing your virginity. Yeah. I don't feel like I lost it because I willingly
gave it away.
Also giving it away, Nakon, it's so weird. Yeah,
it's like I don't
like how do you tell somebody who would say I'm no longer a virgin without using those words? Because I also find it no, I had sex for the first time. A girl is I lost my virginity. Yeah. So why must I lose my virginity but a guy can just have sex, you know? So when I had sex for the first time, it was a great experience, and I highly recommend for any couple that wants to have sex for the first time, and they just consent obviously needs to be given, and they just find what is comfortable. It doesn't have to be something that is rushed, you know?
It shouldn't be something that is rushed. It should be a personal, first of all, it should be personal, and then also as a couple, you agree on having sex.
And then there's also this thing that I personally don't like, I'm probably going to get like so much backlash from that, but personally, again, I was grateful for when my body started going through the changes every September. And I asked her, is this expected of me? Well, I said, no, not necessarily. If you want to go, then it's fine. But I'm also uncomfortable with my daughter being not violated, but like having random people like looking at her like most sacred private parts, and it's just weird because you're also at a stage in your life like and you're trying to discover your own body, and then before you get the chance to, there's someone else that's looking in between your legs, and like your worth is defined by your hymen being intact. Also,
the hymen situation, because we know that the hymen can be broken through like activities, exercise, cycling, whatever. So that whole thing with your hymen is only broken ngoba you have sex.
I mean, I started riding a bicycle at 7, so I guess in theory I lost my virginity when I was 7. So so that was the gist of my story about how I had sex for the first time. What about you, girl?
Girl, mine was in a hotel.
Okay, there's
there was a little bit of planning into it. Not like I planned to lose my virginity that day, but it was just like we were out, and then we had booked a weekend away type of thing, and then one thing led to another. Obviously,
as it does.
Girl, it was very sexual.
Tell me more.
It was heated, and then suddenly, hibo, we are doing this thing. I have no idea how we got into penetrative sex, you know, because I was feeling in the motions. I was definitely lubricated.
Body was red.
The body was red.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, things inside, and I'm just like, what is going on? And he's just like, yeah, it's done. Like, it is what it is.
Okay.
And that's really
like immediately,
well, what is going on here? And it's like, this is it. This is how it's supposed to feel. And I mean, now it is more intense, but definitely at that time I was like, yeah, okay, I could do this. I could do this often. I could do this anywhere.
What was the feeling like upon first entry? Because I had that as much as umzimba wami ubukade yabo bengithokomele yabona, and I was just like, okay, I'm expecting, I can feel it's looking for the entrance, but then the fear of like, how is it going to feel upon entry? Am I going to scream and break the windows of this car with the vibrato of my screaming, or is it going to be
and also you have the fear of like, is it going to be sore? Are you going to bleed?
Yeah.
Are you going to
no, I'm going to bleed and
be all over the sheets and everything.
The back of the seat.
You know the back. Oh well, yours.
Oh, you had sheets.
I had white sheets. You had the back of the seats. But either way, it happened. No, and it wasn't as uncomfortable as I thought it would be. You know, it was flowy, and the minute it the penis penetrated. It was just like, oh. What?
Oh, so that's what it's like.
I'm there for it.
Okay.
Bring more of
me,
this.
I didn't necessarily feel the penetration. I felt a pressure.
Okay.
Because it's like putting a watermelon through a keyhole.
Yes.
And this thing has to go in without obviously like breaking or whatever, in the sense of the watermelon thing. But it was like a pressure, and your body almost wants to resist against it. So I was just like, no, because I want this to happen. This watermelon is going into the keyhole. And then I was just like, my body relaxed.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, the camel is on the other side of the eye of the needle. But then I also, if I would tell my younger self how to prepare for it, I don't think there would be anything that I would change. Maybe the location.
Yeah.
Because I was very comfortable with the person that I had sex with for the first time. I don't regret it. Because, you know, sometimes this is the person that I had sex with for the first. I have no regrets. And I don't think I have regrets with any of the other sexual partners that I've had leading up to date. I'm not going to give you a number. But I think the only thing I would probably tell my younger self is wait until you're 24, girl.
At least. You know what? Sex is amazing. Sex is beautiful. Sex is between two people.
It is the business.
It is really the business. But like waiting, I wouldn't say you must wait, but waiting for someone that actually loves you and appreciates you and wants to be with you. I feel like better when sexual experience is much better than just like a one-night stand or someone that you just met.
Yeah.
you know, for me, that would be like really the thing.
I mean, I've got nieces and nephews, so I'm always advocating for just, I'm not saying wait for marriage, because you can never tell with umuntu. That's why sex education is also so important, because as much as abazali abaningi bayasho ukuthi don't have sex, you must wait until him, give them all of the information you could possibly give, kuze ube ngathi uyahlanya ekhanda, but let them walk out into the world being able to make those proper decisions.
But also for me, if you're not willing to go all the way, you can still do like pleasure yourself.
Yes.
For me, that is always been a topic of like, oh, you can pleasure yourself and enjoy. Because if you can't pleasure yourself, how do you expect someone else to
exactly. When umuntu ngasazi ukuthi uthandani.
Do you like to be fingered?
Exactly.
Do you like to be rubbed?
So I mean, obviously, you know, like, because there's some people get turned on by like having the top of their head rubbed in a certain way, because it stimulates angazi what, but you know,
some people like nipple play.
Exactly. No, but then yes. So outside of the act of penetrative sex, most one with no umuntu wakho mhlambe they're on a work trip or wherever the case may be. This person is not 15 minutes around the corner, but your body is feeling some type of way. Like, what do? No, that's where the self pleasure comes in, and it's not just. Guys, masturbation is great. Hey? I'm not even going to. I'm not even. My eyes are not here. They are rolled to the back of my head. They are meeting with my imagination. Imagination. Because no, like, there's times where you just. Sometimes you don't even want a body next to you.
No, you just want.
It's just you want that feeling, and for me, that feeling is like my soul has left my body, and it's traveling up towards the skies, and I'm just like, I'm in another portal.
Yes.
Like I'm in orbit. I'm vying to Jupiter. That's where I'm going, and then obviously I come back. You know, but like, what is self pleasure like? For you, do you? Some people get turned on when they watch a certain video, and then some people can just be like, "Oh, okay, I've got maths homework to do." Oh,
not maths homework, girl.
Maybe let me put the maths homework aside and let's deal with this type of homework. Yes. So, how do you get started? Most of this is I'm in the mood, so I think it's. Especially for us ladies, we like to make sure that our bodies are in tune with our mind first before we initiate. But what is the process like for you?
It's the visuals for me, like pictures, and sometimes it's videos like porn, obviously.
Yes.
That gets you going, but sometimes just a picture of my person, and I'm just like, I know what I could do with that body.
I do not need.
And then the next
pictures.
thing, what do you need? Something, videos, anything.
You
can start caressing your body, I guess.
No, I think it's tricky for me. Like, I could wake up in the morning while I'm making a cup of tea. I'm like, I probably need to masturbate,
Really?
And then I'll just be like,
not me judging, but like,
no,
I need to get to that level.
Nothing really.
Stimulates.
It doesn't have to take like a certain amount of steps. So it's gonna be like. And go. Yeah. And then I'm just like, okay, I'm going to start touching myself. But again, self-pleasure doesn't only have to be like touching yourself. There's toys, bahlali, emakaya. There's toys. There's different methods of self-pleasure. There's this one thing that, there's a video that I saw. Wasn't necessarily like porn. Most social can sit the phone in, and then like it's like 12 o'clock, and the algorithm is like, now we're getting dirty. Yes. Like it's no longer like daytime algorithm, it's like nighttime algorithm. This one woman, she could sit and cross her legs
and have an orgasm,
and just like cross her legs, tight, and then she comes, and I was like, see, did I not try it and fail?
Because you're like, I want to do this.
Because I'm all about exploring, but I was just like, okay, obviously it works for some people. I
used to do the pillow hump.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that one.
Girl. Pillow.
Because sometimes you don't need the body, you don't have the body around. Ooh. So you're like, well, I got a pillow. I'm not going to show you how to do it, but I've got a pillow.
Like, I got a pillow because a lot of people foot in a corner, it's for women, it's clitoral stimulation.
Yes.
So you don't always need another person there, unless they're going to be focused on your clit. But like you can do these things yourself.
I wish everybody would focus on the clit.
Gosh, I think I saw a friend of mine. They had once posted that I think I'm going to act like a clit and disappear for a while because I know nobody will find me. Because people do not know. If you don't have a clitoris and you are with a person who doesn't know just how much pleasure comes from a clitoris, you are going to be so...
Like, if there's anything...
The frustration that comes from...
If there's anything, just focus on the clit.
Please focus on the clit.
That's all.
That is all we are asking.
We're not asking for a lot.
There's 8,000 nerves. Girl. If you're going to get on one of them, just make sure it's one of the clitoral nerves. Please. Thank you. And then... So we've got the self-pleasure, but what about if you are feeling... Girl, you get out of my head. Because I'm starting to get balls. I said, what if you get horny while you're on your period? Yeah. And you are around your person? What is the conversation around that like?
And during your period, you're just more horny, I feel.
Yes. Outside of the cramps, but it's just the cramps are here. But the horniness is here. So...
You're just like,
how do you make it balance? Yeah.
No, I did. And I was like, with my current partner. And he was, at first I thought it was disgusting because I was like, no one would want to do that. Have period sex. And especially in the Bible thing, when they tell you a woman is unclean when she is on her period.
There's so many bad connotations around it, but we know better.
Yeah. And then we had period sex. And it was just like, first of all, you are definitely... moist, wetter, you definitely...
By default, you're wet.
By default.
Because,
so you're going to move perfectly because everything is just aligned. I would recommend.
Get into detail.
So basically, all you need to do is put a towel around wherever you guys are, and then you just have sex as normal, or you do shower sex because if you want to be like sort of clean, or whatever, you can do that as well. So that, for me,
okay. 100%. So it didn't disturb like how you feel about hygiene, basically.
No, I mean the hygiene part for me was getting into the shower.
Sure.
So I felt a little more comfortable. For him, it wasn't an issue. It was more like if you want, if that's
which is so great because
let's go. And I was like, oh, let's jump into the shower.
He's a proper soldier because how do you go into battle without getting a bit of blood on your sword? It's a question. How do you? And then you're going to come back and say you're a soldier, but you've never bloodied your sword.
And you've had?
Me, yes. I also wanted to know, because for me, I get my period for 7 days, right?
Yeah.
So, and like the first 3 days,
the
flow is heavy. So when, on which day of your... Fourth day.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're the same.
Fourth day.
Yes, because
first 3 days, forget about it. I'm not...
You want to die?
Coming to me.
Don't touch me.
Don't touch me. Don't do anything. But this 4 days and onwards.
I think we're the same right there. Like from day 4 onwards, because personally the cramps are killing me and I don't want anyone to touch me. It's mostly like, just let me die in my corner for the first 3 days. But then... from day 4 to 7, yes. It goes off 40. I figure go full. It just breaks and it starts spinning around. And I think also because as a woman with heavy flow, as much as you expect like whatever, like there'll be blood here and there, but you don't want it to look like a crime scene when you walk in.
No.
So yes, and then and I actually was the one who initiated period sex with my partner at the time.
Yeah.
Because he was and he was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
But the nice thing, again, I think I've been so blessed with people who are understanding. I don't know, or maybe it's just something that I bring out in them. I'm going to make this about me.
Not about them.
No, but like I initiated the conversation, and luckily enough, he sat down, he listened, and he's like, look, if you're comfortable with it, then I don't mind. Obviously, to make him comfortable as well, I didn't push the narrative of oral sex, because I'm not gonna kink shame, but there are some people who don't care. They will go down on somebody whether they're on their period or not, and that's up to them. That's fine. So and it helped with the little bit of cramps that were left, because when I did come nakhona, there was just like a release of pressure, and I was just like, I feel so good after this. You got your after period glow, you've got your after sex while on your period glow, and then you've got your orgasm glow. Like, I was glowing on three levels. So
love that.
I was
I had the time of my life. Like, if someone is open enough to share that with you, then that shouldn't be a problem.
But you must also debunk the myth, yoguti, if you have sex while you're on your period, there's no chance of getting pregnant.
No.
There is.
There is a huge chance.
So, as I also had to educate him on that as well. I was just like, no, we still have to use protection. Nothing has changed. The only change is what's happening with my body right now. Currently, but
if anything, you're more possible to have a child during your
because you're fertile, is it not? Fertile, yes, as much as your lining is shedding or whatever, but you know, there's nutrients in that, so you don't want any of the swimmers to come up there and make a home. And then now my period is over, and then a few weeks later when you're expecting your next one,
here's a baby.
And then so now what do you do? And then you have to explain what happened. But
so we're talking about world and size matter.
Let's not talk about this. See about size.
Not you sizing your.
Okay, so growing up, right? Before obviously experiencing size, there's this narrative in society. The bigger it is, the better it is. Okay, sharp. So, umuntu who's walking around their whole life just wanting to experience like only big dicks.
Yes.
But does it matter? I don't know. I guess it depends on your compatibility and how phela yena akalisebenzisa ngayo itools like is the most important thing. Because as much as they say size doesn't matter, it's the motion in the ocean. We don't want shrimps from the ocean. We want, you know,
something that does
it must make a difference upon entrance, during, and you know, afterwards as well. So I was very scared enjoying issue. Like with the first time I had sex, I was not expecting. I was expecting Guti, he's just gonna pull out this thing that's as big as my arm. Like, where's that gonna go? Firstly, but I was pleasantly surprised. And my other encounters now, corner, I don't think I've ever experienced a tiny.
Small.
Yes. So, but Nakon, again, I'm not shaming anyone who has what is considered a below average penis, because if you know how to use it, in America they talk about inches. So, so, but apparently, most people say a good sized penis is from the person who's receiving. It must start from the bottom of your palm to the tip of your middle finger.
Okay.
So I don't know.
So about, for me, it would be about the size then.
Okay. I don't know. I need to do a reference and see.
Like, that's about
okay.
Right.
Look.
Sometimes you'll get a long one, like a completely long.
But it looks like a pencil.
It looks like a pencil. There's no grit. There's nothing to kind of be on there, and then it's in you, and it's just like, and it's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable, you know.
And
like,
then sometimes you get just a sturdy one, and it's got the grit, and it's got everything that you need. So size. is relative for me.
Yeah.
It's how you use the tool that makes it.
Yeah. I've also read stories. There's a certain Facebook page that I'm on. I'm not going to say it because I want to remain anonymous in it. But there is, oh God, I just lost my train of thought now. Oh, this woman was saying that she went on a date with this person. They met on one of the dating sites.
Yeah.
And they got to talking, and then obviously the day came where it's just like, okay, we're hooking up.
Yep.
He was great in foreplay.
Yes.
Like, he did everything. He's a good listener. He asks, is this okay? He just makes sure the person receiving, which is her, is as comfortable as possible.
That's beautiful.
And then unfortunately she got disappointed when he dropped his pants. Obviously it was like what they call a micro penis. And obviously he's had it his whole life, so I guess that's what it's kind of like an overcompensation with what he was doing.
Not a shower.
I don't know, because I think there were some questions asked. As much as he can be a micro, was he a grower? And I can't remember what the response was, but she did say that the overall experience was great because he paid so much attention to her body, to a point where penetration was just like an added bonus. But because there was no penetration, she still walked out of it.
He was on the clit. I can tell you now.
Because he has what looks like a clit. I'm sorry.
He's got experience on the clit. He focused on the clit.
Yeah, he did. Happened. So, I mean, I guess, again, if I go back and tell my younger self, does size matter? I would say not really.
Yeah.
Just, again, it goes back to having the conversation with the person and finding out what both your turn-ons are and then working it from there. Or like if you feel brave, like before you even have sex, like let's just stand in front of each other naked.
Imagine though.
And just do a 360. Okay, this is what you've got. This is what I've got. And how can we work with what the other person has?
Yeah.
So, and then there's the myth that obviously black guys have got bigger appendages in comparison. It's something I'd like to try, but for now I've only been with black guys, so I can't really. No, I haven't.
You had
no. That is a story for another day. But what I can say is the other race that I was with, it was.
You was black, girl.
No, I
is black.
Okay, sure. Oh, who my demographics? Yes, he falls under black. Yes. So yeah, there was you close your eyes and you think you're just having sex with another black guy, but it's not. And this is izinto that Indlu Yagite has never taught me before. So I was just like, I'm taking this back with me. All of these tips and tricks that I've learned from this person, I'm definitely using them in the future, for sure. So, does size matter? No, not really.
Not really for me.
But I've been fortunate enough to deal with people that fill up the dome. Is that matter?
Yeah, I think with our younger selves, oh man, sex is beautiful. Sex is personal. It takes time to kind of get comfortable with that person or with yourself even, and being able to speak about it. And I think more conversations with other women are really important when it comes to sex.
Yeah.
And not like jajana or anything, like more like motivating, like, oh, this works for me, this doesn't work for me, even with penetrative sex. I think I had a conversation with my girlfriends the other day and I was like, penetrative sex doesn't really make me orgasm, but clitoral makes me orgasm. So all those
heavy
conversations, you need to have them with your friends or your peers or anyone around you that you're comfortable with. So with my younger self, I'd be like, take your time with it. Really speak to who you want to be and how you want to approach sex. I think for me, that's my message to my younger self.
Yeah, excuse me. No, I agree. Like echoing a lot of the things that you said, like to my younger self as well. When you feel like your body is ready, you've met the person who you feel aligns with your outlook on sex in general. go for it. But please, guys, a lot of people do not pay attention to the safety that comes with having sex. Just don't go out all willy-nilly. Like I'm judging people who have like constant one-night stands. That's fine if you incorporate the element of safety. Please get tested as often as possible. Be transparent with your partner as well. Go together if necessary, or there's tests that you can do at home. I think that's the most important thing for me, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not so much a one-night stand person myself, is because I put the onus on me, the responsibility. It's like it's second nature for me to be on top of my sexual health. So if I'm going to meet somebody who doesn't match that energy, then we might as well. It's not going to work. And please don't think you can do not think that you can pressurize me into just, but we're here now, we might
we can stop it right now and move on.
Exactly. And why are you so trusting of me, Singazani, on that level, with whatever? And what if it's something that isn't treatable? It's something that you have to manage for the rest of your life. Do you have the mental capacity to be able to track your own health? So sexual health, just zitande, but also enjoy the sex that you're having. Like I tell myself that all the time. It's something that when they do decide to become sexually active, my nieces and nephews, it's something I would tell them too, because in our family, there's a history of not necessarily teen pregnancies, but like at a young age.
Sure.
And I think that also is a result of not having the conversation with their own parents. So I want to be the mom or the aunt that I wish they had when they were growing up as well. So, sex is natural. Enjoy it. Sex is not just for the purpose of procreation.
Yes.
We've got way too many people on the planet as it is. So we've got overpopulation. So please don't focus on the fact that I need to bring a child into this world. I don't really think that matters, really. But just enjoy yourself. Learn your body. Don't forget to self-please. You don't have to wait for somebody to be there. Just, and when it comes to toys, please do your research, first of all. Because you don't want to buy something cheap. Also, you're busy during... and then
electrified.
That how are you going to tell you? How are you going to explain that? But just love yourself, love your body, love the person that you're with, and have a good time. Honestly, I don't think there's anything else beyond that.
Thanks. This is cool.
This was I think this was a successful first episode.
I enjoyed that.
In my humble opinion. Yes, and I learned so much from you, actually. Like, we've known each other for years. Let me just put that out there. Like, we've known Zama and I went to the same high school, guys, okay? And we also work together. But it's nice to have these conversations outside of a professional and scholastic setting. Get to know each other.
Thanks for being Sisa.
Thanks for being Zaza. And I'm not going to say cut.